वैसे बहुत सारी चीजें हैं, बहुत सारी चीजें हैं, लेकिन अगर मेरे को आपको कोई एक ही चीज बतानी हो जो शिक्षा सोपान ने मेरे को दी है जबरदस्ती, तो फिर मैं आपको बताऊंगा कि शिक्षा सोपान ने जो एक चीज मुझे दी है वो है कि उन्होंने मेरे अंदर एक फीलिंग डेवलप कर दी है जिसको कहते हैं जॉय ऑफ लर्निंग। और it is a gift because now I can appreciate what I'm studying. I can enjoy the process of studying, and I have seen boost in my creative abilities. These are all the things that has happened to me, and then everything has been going great for me. तो आज का हमारा जो वेबिनार है, आई हैव टेकन दिस एज मैथ, फिजिक्स थ्रू मैथ, एंड माय टेकअवेज फ्रॉम नेस्ट फॉर यू। तो इस वेबिनार में आई विल नीड योर हेल्प एंड टू मेक दिस सक्सेसफुल वी विल हैव क्यू एन ए सेशन एट द एंड। तो अगर आपको कोई डाउट्स होते हैं आप उसको लिख के रख लो, विल कम टू देम। और इस बीच अगर कुछ मैं पूछता हूँ तो यू कैन अनम्यूट एंड आंसर। So before I start sharing, I actually want to tell you a little bit about of my story, how my story has been. Okay, yeah, I can see some chats, but I won't be reading chats. Otherwise, I'll be confused. I'll be just talking right now. So all the conversation, all the things that you want to ask me, save it for later. Direct हम interaction करेंगे. Okay. So my story I want to tell you, and it will just take 2 minutes. Okay. Uh, when I was in school and when I was class 11, I joined one of these big coaching giants to prepare for IIT JEE. And soon enough, I realized that I cannot solve the numericals. I could not understand what was happening and why we were doing whatever it was. I could not keep up with the pace of it. And, uh, you know, it just keep getting darker and darker. And, as a result, it happened that I failed. And I failed at an epic scale. I mean, I got like, okay, someone's mic is on.
एक सेकंड मैं करती हूँ।
Okay. Yes, so I got like 0 marks in mathematics out of 120, 0 marks in chemistry out of 120, and 5 marks in physics out of 120. And that was the moment that I came to the realization कि मेरे लिए physics नहीं बनाया, मेरे लिए mathematics नहीं बनाया, and I am going to quit it. And so I told my elders कि I won't be able to study physics anymore, and अब ये मेरे से नहीं होगा. So funnily enough, when I look back in retrospect, the advice that I got was ठीक है तू एक काम कर, engineering मत कर और BSc में admission ले ले. Little did I know that BSc stands for Bachelor of Science, and there was all the physics and mathematics waiting for me. So first year went by, and it is only at the end of second year when I first encountered with lectures of H.C. Verma sir, recorded in Shiksha Sopan Ashram on bsc.hcverma.in. And it was for the first time when I actually understood physics. And I could see myself looking, understanding what frame of reference means, what Newton's laws means, how to deal with them. So if anyone here is from BSc and MSc, I would strongly recommend, if you have not yet encountered lectures by H.C. Verma sir, please visit the site bhc.hcverma.in. Those are master class lectures. Every BSc students must watch them.
Sir, it is beneficial for school students.
Uh, Maybe it is the syllabus is out of your contest, but you could still watch the initial lectures. Initial lectures do address the school level problem. Then after the syllabus moves on, you may try to avoid it and come back to it later once you have completed
Does
your
it
schools.
have any classes apart from like BSc students for like class 10th or below?
Yeah, we'll come to that. We'll come to that at the end. Okay, let
Can
us.
I add something, Amardeep ji?
Yes, ma'am.
ओके, एक्चुअली ये जो अभी सर कह रहे हैं bsc.hcverma.in, शायद ये साइट अभी काम नहीं कर रही है,
Okay.
तो इसलिए आपको वहाँ लेक्चर्स तो नहीं मिलेंगे, लेकिन hcverma.in वो जो है साइट, उस पे अगर आप जाएंगे तो स्कूल लेवल के एक्सपेरिमेंट्स में एक और भी है, लर्निंग फिजिक्स थ्रू सिंपल एक्सपेरिमेंट्स। तो वो जो है वो स्कूल स्टूडेंट्स के लिए भी है, एंड यू कैन गो थ्रू दैट। ओके,
Okay, so since then, after meeting, encountering Verma sir's lectures, और at the same time I came across NEST, और NEST में मैंने अपना बेस्ट दिया, बड़ी मेहनत से पार्टिसिपेट किया, and I was cold in कानपुर fortunately, और फिर I met some of the most incredible people, incredible mind. Of course, Verma sir was one of them, and इतना कुछ सीखने को मिला that so anyways, in this webinar, what my goal is to tell you how to think about math which is involved in physics, how I have learned to navigate through the mathematics, what advice I would give to my younger self if I had the opportunity. So those are the things that I have collected, and this is what I will tell you. So before I start my presentation, let me just set the tone of how our webinar will look like. So we will start with an example which I have taken from our syllabus itself, जो कि class 9th से, since we have students from class 9th all the way up to MSc in this webinar. So I have taken up a basic topic from our syllabus, and the key point that I want to establish in this is that mathematics is not just about solving an equation or evaluating an expression. Mathematics is more than that. Mathematics is also about an idea, that how you come up with the idea and the logical way of thinking. So how you, after thinking logically, you can develop something into our formal form of mathematics. That is our first part. Then we will move into physics, and then we will use the same logical thinking to reach up to the point of uncertainty in measurements, जो कि prelims में भी आपके लिए बड़ा helpful होने वाला है. So how to deal with measurement and uncertainties, up to there we will reach. And the last part of our webinar will be that I'll tell you some of the takeaways that I have had from NEST. Okay, so let me start sharing. Okay, let me see. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
All
Yes,
right.
sir.
Like, do we
Yes,
have to take
sir.
notes of
Yes,
it?
sir.
Okay, great, great.
Yes, sir.
So here it is. Physics through math, my NAST takeaways. Uh, so we'll start with this quote from Carl Friedrich Gauss. Now, Gauss is one of the greatest mathematicians of all times. He was a pure mathematician. He was not a applied mathematician. Gauss was a pure mathematician, and his work is everywhere in the field of mathematics. But of course, we know that Gauss has also done work in the field of science. We study it in electrostatics. At least one of the things is in electromagnetism, which is called Gauss's law, and it is the most fundamental law of electromagnetism. It is divergence of electric field is rho upon epsilon naught, or या फिर the integral form is flux of electric field is charge enclosed upon epsilon naught. And here is what Gauss says. So Gauss says that mathematics is the queen of sciences. So mathematics is queen of our science, and mathematics gives us the permission to make leaps into our imagination. So we'll start with this quote. I will stop sharing and I'll ask you a question. I'll start with a question and see how these questions we can develop it. Okay. So here is the basic, very simple question that imagine a point here, a red point here. Can you see it? You will have
Yes,
to
sir.
use
Yes, sir.
your imagination वाली आंखों से
Yes,
देखना
sir.
पड़ेगा. So imagine
Yes, sir.
red point here. Okay, right.
Okay, sir.
Now here is a question. मैं इसको छोड़ रहा हूँ अभी, ठीक है?
Yes, sir.
ये यहाँ पे है. Okay. Now here is a question that ये point कहाँ है? तो ये point कहाँ है? यहाँ है. आप उस तरफ बैठे हैं तो आप बोलेंगे वहां है. उधर जो बैठे हैं वो बोलेंगे वहां है. उधर बैठे हैं वो बोलेंगे वहां है. तो वो सारे आंसर करेक्ट हैं. ये पॉइंट बिल्कुल यही है, ये रहा. Right, correct. अब let us see that how this very simple question we can just think of yet another idea. So let me tell you the idea first. Let us define a random point in space. कोई भी एक point ले लिया. For example, मैं अपने टेबल का ये वाला कॉर्नर ले लेता हूँ और अब मैं बोलता हूँ कि ये इस टेबल के कॉर्नर के मुकाबले यहाँ पे, ठीक है? अभी मेरा जवाब क्या है कि यहाँ इस कॉर्नर से देखूंगा तो यहाँ है, ठीक है? अब कुछ चेंज नहीं हुआ, पॉइंट भी वही है और आंसर भी कर वही है, पर क्या फर्क हुआ? व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस? द
Difference
डिफरेंस
in
इज
frames of
दैट हम
reference.
सबका ऑल ओवर वहां है, वहां है, वहां है, नाउ बिकम्स वन वहां है. So if I were to tell my fellow scientist who is in US, for example, that where was the point that I was talking about. So now I can say that if I am defining that this is, you start seeing from the corner of my table. So this is the point we call origin, right? This is from this defined origin, here is my point. Now mathematicians takes yet another leap. What do we do? See, we imagine lines here. So what we'll do, we'll imagine a line going this way, right? Let us say this is, and we'll call this imaginary line X. See, this line does not exist, remember. Here is our point, keep your eyes fixed on the point. The line does not exist, but let us imagine. And there is yet another line, we call this line Y, and let us imagine a line going like this, we call it Z, right? And now we make a set of rules. What is the rule? The rule is now if you want to go to a point, first we will walk in X, then we will walk in Y, and then we'll walk in Z. This is the rule. It is not necessary at all that we have to do it this way, but this is the rule that we have agreed upon. Now see what happens. What is the beauty of this formulation is, now what I can do is I can actually measure this distance. So I can say that this is, okay, say 30 centimeter, this is 20 centimeter, and this is 15 centimeter. Now I will name this point as 30, 20, 15, right? So now if I want to tell my fellow physicist who is in US, for example, that where is the point, so I'll tell him that first of all I am defining a origin, right? So origin is the corner of my table. When you come into my room, you will see that there is a table, and that is the origin. And from there you walk, and from there you go to 30, 20, 15, and he will reach there precisely, right? So this is the basic idea. We all already know about this. Now see, with this simple idea, what I can do is I can define any point in this universe uniquely. For example, I want to define this Ben 10 sticker here. So what I can do, here is my origin. I'll walk in X direction. Say I'll measure it is say 70 centimeter. I'll walk in Y direction. Now this is, we are going opposite to it. So we'll say, okay, minus 40. And then we'll go say 30 up. So what is, I'll name it. So what will be the name? 70, minus 40, 30. Now, every point in this space that you can imagine, for example, if someone who is listening is in Lucknow and I want to reach to his home, I can mathematics allows me to make use of this imagination that I can give just 3 points, the name to his home, and I will reach there. This is the beauty of it. अब sun पे जाना है, all you have to do is think of 3 points. X में कितना चलना है, Y में कितना चलना है, Z में कितना चलना है. If you can think of the 3 numbers, you reach to the sun. And every point in this space is given a unique name. Now see, जब हमारे घर में we have a newborn baby in our home, when we try to name the baby, we have this conversation कि इसको कुछ unique नाम देते हैं, तो common थोड़ा सा हट के थोड़ा सा नाम हो. And we find it very difficult. My name is Amardeep, but I write my name on Insta ID, then they say it's already taken. So, it is difficult to come up with unique names. But I have defined every point imaginable in space uniquely if I have defined this my origin. If you change your origin, all the points in this space will be having different name. And this entire XYZ axis business we already know, right? We have studied it in our syllabus. What I want to bring out from this is that the same information you can think differently. Now you can think how the formal form of mathematics, the point P which is called x, y, z, develops from a very simple question कि कोई point कहाँ है? Where is this point? And these questions now we were answering यहाँ है, we have much more formal understanding of it. And you develop it further, so you will end up with a beautiful mathematics, and we have reached up to the moon using that mathematics. So this is the point I want to establish, is that mathematics is not only about solving equations. Mathematics is a very real subject. Mathematics is an idea, and then the set of logical arguments to develop upon these ideas. So that is mathematics. Let me share you my screen once again and go to our presentation. Okay. All right, you can see this.
Yes, sir.
Yes, so this was our point. We defined X, Y, Z. These are the things we already know. Now here is a question. Just 1 minute. What can we do to strengthen our skills? So all right, we get it that mathematics is this idea-based subject, but I want to improve my skills of mathematics. So what can I do? So here are two things that I think can help you, and I have found them very useful. First of this is practice doing derivations. What I mean by this is, once a topic is introduced in your class, once the teacher has done the derivation, or once you have studied it from a book, you close your book and try to do it yourself from scratch. Now, what it will do is, practicing doing a derivation once, you will realize that to do a derivation, you really have to start with a set of assumptions. You have to start with some kind of idea. For example, let O be the origin, a charge Q is placed at the origin, another charge Q1 is placed at a point x1, y1, z1. Let another charge Q2 is placed at x2, y2, z2. Let the position vector for first charge is r1, position vector second. So this kind of arguments you have to make to start doing the derivations. So what you are doing in essence, when you are doing a derivation, you are converting a physical situation into mathematics. This will help you in solving challenging problems, because in challenging problems you will have to convert a physical situation into mathematics. So practice doing derivations. I don't know, it feels like we are getting very fast in this world today. So this derivation thing, I feel that it is somewhat missing. So do that. And actually, there is one more advantage. Once you do the derivation to obtain the result, at the end of the day, you need the result and you need to be able to apply the result. But once you do the derivation and obtain to the formula, you will remember the formula much longer, right? Because there are so many formulas in physics, 400, 500 formulas. So it is difficult to remember all of them. But once you do the derivation and derive your formula, you have the confidence in yourself and in the formula. And also sometimes, you will realize that most of the derivations don't take that long, few seconds and you can derive it. So you don't have to learn those many formulas. The number of formulas will also reduce. So practice doing derivations. Second thing, what you can do is figure out why it didn't work. So many times this happens, and I'm sure that this must have happened with you, that you're solving a problem and you get the wrong answer. Now, what do? You go to your teacher and you say, okay, this is what I was doing and I could not solve it. The teacher will tell you the right way to do it, or you look up the solution somewhere and you say, this is how I should have done it. But then here you miss out on a very critical opportunity, right? Whenever you get a wrong answer, you should always go back and look into why your way of thinking did not work. See, mathematics always works. So there must be a defect in your way of thinking or your idea. So figure out that why is it that what you were thinking in the first place is wrong? And this takes time. But if you invest that time in figuring out that why it didn't work out, you will be able to pinpoint your problem. And if you have pinpointed your doubt, then you will be able to clear it much easily and it will be cleared for lifetime. So it gives you a great opportunity. See, any problem which you can
Sir, I
solve.
can't understand this point. Can you please explain
Okay, so
again?
I'll repeat it in Hindi. uh, See, uh, figure out why. So कोई problem solve किया, you could not find the answer. Okay, so now what you have to do is you have to go back and, तो आपको आंसर मिल गया, आपको टीचर ने बता दिया कि ये सही तरीका है, और ओके ठीक है. You have to go back and look into your wrong approach. You have to ask कि मैं ऐसा सोच रहा था, तो ऐसा सोचना गलत क्यों है? Figure that out. See, जब आप वो figure out करने की कोशिश करो कि why this way of thinking did not work, you will understand that okay, this is, आपको आपका डाउट समझ में आएगा. एक बार आपको डाउट पिन पॉइंट हो गया, तो फिर आप उस पर वर्क करके उसको क्लियर कर सकते हो. और वैसे अगर आप डाउट क्लियर करोगे तो वो आपके लिए लंबे वक्त तक क्लियर रहेगा हमेशा. अभी व्हाट हैपेंस इज, when you encounter a problem which you can solve, it gives you confidence, it gives great amount of confidence in your abilities, yes. But when you encounter a problem which you cannot solve, oftentimes people get disappointed that okay, I am unable to solve the problem. And do not think that way.
Yes, sir, of course.
The problem which you cannot solve is an opportunity for you to learn something new which you previously didn't know. The problem which you cannot solve will teach you something. So next time when you encounter a problem which you cannot solve, feel excited, and know that okay, that problem will teach you something, and you can, if you can invest that amount of time, so that will be very helpful. So these are the two things that I'll tell you that you can do to strengthen your skills. Let us move ahead into physics now. And here is a question from physics that I have for you. Can we count total number of atoms in something? They are so tiny. तो अगर आपने लास्ट वेबिनार, आई एम स्टॉपिंग दिस अगेन, देयर इज नथिंग इन द प्रेजेंटेशन. ओके, यू कैन सी मी, राइट? So in the last webinar, if you have attended, so in that sir was explaining about atoms. को atom में size कितना होता है, and in the last webinar, sir said that हमारा जो
Yes, sir. How tiny
जो
particles?
measuring scale होता है ना, 15 सेंटीमीटर वाला, उसके 1 मिलीमीटर का 1 करोड़ हिस्सा, right? So you take 1 mm and then divide it into 1 crore small parts. That is the dimension of atom.
One
Atoms are
nanometer.
so small. Yeah, 1 nanometer, 1 angstrom size. They are so small we cannot see them. So can we count the number of atoms?
Sir, we individually not count them.
Yes.
We
So
count them by the mole of Avogadro.
yeah. So now I'm coming back to this. So what I'm going to
Yeah.
do, is I'm going to tell you how to do it. Okay. And first
Whether
let
we
me
can
let me
take
let us see.
how
First let us
much
see.
moles, how
हाँ,
much moles per substance we know, and then we can
हाँ,
say like 6.0 like the
right.
Avogadro's numbers.
Right. Absolutely. So let me tell you how to do it. Let us all get together on the same ground. So, okay, here is what you do. So whatever element it is that I have given you, I am given you, for example, it can be any element. See in the periodic table, nitrogen, oxygen, take up any. So let us take carbon, for example, right? So now in carbon, okay, please turn off your mics. Someone's mic is on. All right. So carbon, you take carbon and look at the, okay, someone's mic is on. Can we ask to mute them? Okay, ask to unmute. Sorry. Yeah, okay, it's fine. So you go to the periodic table and look at the mass of the carbon, and you will see that it is 12. Right. So now what you do, अब सब भूल जाओ, आपने देख लिया ना वो 12 है. Let us सब कुछ भूल जाओ. Let us come here. Let us bring a weight measuring device. किराने की दुकान से एक वेट मशीन लेके आते हैं, और ये हमारे पास है कार्बन. अब हम इस पे कार्बन डालेंगे, ठीक है? तो हम कार्बन डाल रहे हैं. वी आर पुटिंग इन द कार्बन ऑन द our weight measuring machine. And what do we see? That it is okay, 11.9 gram, 11.99 gram. Now it is 12 gram. Once you have measured your carbon to be 12 gram, and somehow let us say that you have measured it precisely 12 gram, then according to the work of Avogadro, well, according to the work of Avogadro, in that 12 gram of carbon, you will have precisely 6.022 into 10 to the power 23 atoms. Now, here's the problem. How do I know this? Oh, right? And you can do it for anything, for water, H2O. Go to the periodic table, look at the mass of the oxygen, it is 16. Hydrogen is 11, is 1 and 1, 2. And so the total mass of our H2O molecule is, in atomic mass, it's 18. So you go in periodic table, you see that. Now, hata do isko. Come here. Let us bring the weight machine. Let us measure 18 gram of water. Once you have done 18 gram of water, your job is done. Now you can say with confidence that it will have 6.022 into 10 to the power 23 molecules. But you have this question in your heart that, okay, how do you know this? How did Avogadro do this? How do Avogadro know this? You cannot see the atoms,
Yes.
right? And the answer here is, at this point of time, I don't know, and I have purposefully chosen the topic which I don't know. What I want to tell you is, see, सबको सब कुछ पता हो, it is not necessary. What is important is you have the curiosity to know. So I will leave this up to you as a research problem. So you go try to find out why it happened. There are evidences about how we have defined mole, and but you will have to make some efforts. You'll have to look into books. So I'll leave up to you and up to your curiosity. But the fact is that it works. Let me share my screen, and it will be much more clearer. I have to tell you some of the nuances, some of the important things, and let me first share. Okay, so this is what I want you to know, that how can we calculate number of atoms. So ये जिसकी हमने बात करी, I'll come back maybe later.
Sir,
Okay.
sir,
Now here,
sorry to disturb you.
हाँ,
Sir, may
please.
I ask one question?
Yes.
Sir, before you have shown us a presentation in which first point was to like whatever formula we are studying,
Yes.
we have to firstly derive it.
Right.
So, sir, if we talk about the class 10th, the most common formula we study is that mirror formula in
Okay.
physics.
Yes,
So,
yes,
sir,
yes.
if we go through with the derivation, it is given in class 11th or 12th, I think. So, sir,
Okay,
what
I get
about
your
this one?
right. I get it. I get it. I'll we'll take this in doubt. Okay, we'll take this after the presentation. Let us come back here now.
Sure, sir.
So, Avogadro's number in 2019, the SI system was redefined, and Na was so I actually said 6.022. It is not 6.022. It is actually 6.022140076. It is a difficult number for me to remember, so let me go with the flow right now. So this is the number. This is the Avogadro's number, and this is precisely defined in 2019 by SI body, right? International body of this precise measurement. Here is some of the isotopes. So if you have hydrogen 1, and if I ask you कि कितने atoms होते हैं hydrogen में, so you go and look its mass. It is 1. Go on your weight scale, measure it 1 gram, and you will have 6.022140076 into 10 to the power 23 exact atoms. Now look at this number. This is a huge number. Look at this 60221407600000000000000. This is a 26. This is a huge number. Huge number of atoms are there, right? And I know that many of you are having this question, and I was avoiding the question, and here is the question: that can we measure 12 gram exactly, right? So what does it means to measure 12 gram exactly? It means to measure 12.00000000000000023. That is the exactness in for our atom. So can we measure it if we could measure it exactly? If we could measure carbon 12 exactly up to that, or oxygen 16, for example, we could measure exactly up to that level, 16.00000 gram, then yes, it would contain 6.02214 XYZ जो भी था into 10 to the power 23 atoms, right? So here is what we will do to understand this, that can we measure it exactly. We will do a thought experiment. So Albert Einstein, is very famous for doing thought experiments, and we will do one such thought experiment here. So what we will
Sir,
do is let us imagine that
sir,
we
like
have a weight machine. Sorry.
yes, sir, like the most famous thing, the equivalence principle of Albert Einstein, he derived it using a thought experiment of a person falling off the roof.
Falling down. Yeah, absolutely. And then Einstein's world is anyway a fascinating world, and one of my favorite topics to study. But okay, let us do our own experiment. So we have a weight machine here, right on the table. Yeah, here is the weight machine. Okay. And now I have given you a sample of pure carbon 12. Okay. Now your task is to measure 12 grams on this. So we'll start measuring. Okay. So we'll start pouring it carbon here. Okay, please unmute yourself. Yes. So we'll start pouring carbon, and we'll slowly. You can see the weight. Now it is 10 grams, 15 grams, 19 grams, 19.1, 19.2, 19.25, 19.26. क्योंकि किराने वाली machine है, the machine that we use in general store. Now we have come up to 19.99 grams. Now see, slowly we'll add more carbon. 19.99, we are adding, and suddenly it shows 12.00. Okay. Now we'll add little bit more. It still shows 12.00. We'll add little bit more. It still shows 12.00. We'll add little more. Suddenly it will show you 12.01 gram. Right. This is what is going to happen. Now, we do not know that where exactly is 12.00 gram. We do not know. And exact means 0.0000, right? So we do not know where it is. But one thing that we know with certainty is that it must lie somewhere between 11.99 gram and 12.01 gram, right? It must be in between them. Okay. So if we could somehow measure the number of atoms in 11.99 gram of carbon, and then we could measure the number of atoms in 12.01 gram of carbon, then we can say with certainty that number of atoms in our sample, which we have measured to be 12 gram, is between those two values, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Right. So,
sir.
so this is the idea. So we'll do now.
Sir.
कैसे उसको करना है, we'll see how to do it, but here is, so let us do this thought experiment. We have done this. Okay, please unmute yourself. Someone's
ये वैसे 11th से ज्यादा समझ
hello, please. Okay, so what we call exactly 12 gram is between itna and itna, and so we can now write mass is equals to 12 plus or minus 0.01 gram, right? So this is same thing. It is between 11.99 and 12.01. So the same thing we are writing is 12 plus or minus 0.1 gram. Now we have to calculate how many atoms are there. So now I am already using mathematics. Okay, my first assumption here it comes that let us assume for simplicity. So this let things are very important. Let us assume for simplicity of the calculation that Na is 6.022 into 10 power 23. So now we'll soon see that why this will still work. Now what we want to know is that exact, so now what we know is exact 12 gram of carbon contains 6.022 into 10 power 23 atom. This we know. We have to calculate that how many number of atoms are in 11.99 gram. So how do we do it? This is how you do it. So you write that in 12 gram of carbon you have 6.022 into 10 power 23 atoms. So in 11.99 gram you will have x number of atoms. Okay, and you do the cross multiplication. So 12 into x is equals to 11.99 into this number, and then x you can calculate when you will do the calculation up to 4 decimals. Why 4 decimals? Because the significance here is 4, and the answer is 6.017 into 10 power 23 atoms. This is what you will get. Same thing we can do for 12.01 gram. So for 12 gram it is 6.022 into 10 power 23. So for 12.01 gram it will be x. Do the cross multiplication, transfer it here and there, do some algebra, and the answer you will get is 6.027 into 10 to the power 23 atoms. Okay. Now we know for sure that our value is between these two values, right? It has to be between these two values because the 12 precise 12 grams come between these, right? So this implies that number of atoms in our sample are for sure between 6.022 plus minus 0.005 into 10 power 23 atoms. So when you add it 5 in it, 0.005, so you will get 6.027. If you subtract 0.005, you will get 6.017. So this is the answer. So this is the idea of uncertainty, right? That's how you can understand uncertainty. Remember, a measurement is incomplete without the knowledge of uncertainty. Now, this is only one type of uncertainty. There are also random errors in which is because of human error. If you have to measure time period of a pendulum, those error comes in, and to solve those things, we use what is called standard deviation. But right now, we will not get into that. But I'll tell you where you will get. The reason why I'm not getting into it, you have to go and search HC Verma sir's video on YouTube. You have to write error analysis by HC Verma. See, why I have written it in this double inverted comma is because if you don't type error analysis by HC Verma, you have different method videos will come from YouTube. You have to realize that YouTube doesn't work, doesn't recommend you the best video. It recommends you the video which the third party has paid to it, right? It is a business model. So you have to write error analysis by HC Verma. Here, Verma sir has explained these random errors and uncertainties much more clearly, in much more depth. The only thing that I want to tell you with my talk is that you see the idea behind uncertainty, that how without the definitions of uncertainties also we know that there will be uncertainty when we do the measurements. So we started with the idea, we build upon that idea by thinking logically, and we could come up with this answer, right? So before we move ahead, let me give you a little bit of remark for those who are new to this concept, that just like 1 dozen is a number, 1 dozen is 12. Similarly, Na, which is called Avogadro's number, is called 1 mole. It is a number. By the way, Avogadro did not discover this number. Avogadro gave law. It is only after the death of Avogadro in early 20th century, this number was found. And then after that, Einstein's work on Brownian motion and Jean's works. There was one more scientist, John, I am forgetting the name. So all those works were done, and in 2019, finally, we have precisely defined that 1 mole is 6.02214,076 into 10 to the power 23 is a number. And this, you see, this has so many zeros. So when I told you that you can go and research on the answer, see there, I'll give you a hint that it also has to do with how we have defined one mole. Lot many things are there. So I'll keep the problem open uh, because webinar has its own limits. Let us move further, and here is the final topic. Can we retain things better in our, how can we retain things better in our memory? Certainly it is a good skill that we can have, right? We can use. तो क्या होता है ना, अभी आप यू आर इन क्लास 10th, आप पहले 9th में थे, टीचर
Sir,
बोलेंगे हाँ जी हाँ जी
excuse me, sir.
यस
Sir, could you repeat the assignment?
Assignment. Try to find out how this number 6.02214,076 was discovered. How did we come up to this number? That 1 mole is this. If you measure 12 gram, then that 12 gram of carbon will have this many number of atoms. If you measure 16 gram of oxygen, then it will have this many number of oxygen atoms. So how did we derive this number? That is the question. Right.
Thank you,
Now,
sir.
how, okay, yes. How can we retain things better in our memory? तो जब आप 10th में आ गए तो टीचर विल बोलेंगे कि ये आपने 9th में पढ़ा था, आपको याद ही होगा। अरे कहाँ से याद होगा, 9th में ही बड़ी मुश्किल से याद था। वो 9th की एग्जाम में रात भर जगे थे, मम्मी ने सुबह जल्दी उठाया था, तब कहीं जाके एग्जाम में लिख के आए थे। उसके बाद तो 2 महीने की छुट्टी आ गई, तो वो तो पूरा गायब हो गया। 9th में वो कैसे रहेगा? तो so do we have to choose between getting more marks and understanding things better? Do we have to choose between them? And my answer is absolutely not. And to make my point here, to make my case here, I will use a book which is called Unlimited Memory. This book is written by Grandmaster Kevin Horsley. Kevin Horsley is international memory champion. So you know there are these international memory events where you have to remember, for example, a sequence of numbers, sequence of names, sequence of places. And so Kevin Horsley has won this several times, and he has written this wonderful book. And here is the relevant passage of that book. So let me read it out. I have to minimize this. Just okay. So most people try to remember information with their sense of sound. They repeat the information over and over again, hoping it will somehow stick. Sound is very limited because it doesn't attach easily to other memories. However, when you see information as an image in your mind, you can jump in and out of that information and therefore improve your understanding too. Right? So this is what Kevin Horsley has to say. And we will see how NEST can be a great tool for that. So now my next task is to tell you that how NEST is a wonderful tool for improving your memory and thereby also improving your marks if you show this. So first thing is NEST involves learning physics through experiment by everyday objects. Now, really this is an understatement. NEST is so much more than that. NEST is a process, and you know it, what it does, it takes what you're studying in your books, it takes it out on the table, it takes it out in the open. And once you see things happening in front of you and around you, then you will be able to think. And by its very nature, NETS involves thinking. So when you will be given certain tasks, or in fact in screening round, when you will see the problems, which you will see the video problems, then to answer them you really have to think. There is no way to remember a formula and solve it. So NEST by its very nature provokes you to think. Now, once you think, you start to imagine. So then you will be able to retain certain things better. I have done many experiments, and I can assure you that yes, I have done, for example, Lisage's figures. Now, I remember the entire concept because I have done it. Secondly, NEST develops joy of learning. Now, this is certainly one of the most beautiful thing about NEST. See, अगर एक बार you have this joy of learning, अगर आपको पढ़ने में मजा आने लगा, then you will naturally spend more time studying, and not just sitting in front of book. You will actually enjoy the process of studying. If that happens, then certainly you are going to improve in whichever field you enter. And I don't know, man, these days this education has become very tensed process. It should not be this way. Education is fun, you know. So let us bring back that education into our lives. And I am just talking about it, but Nest has done it. It is a process. And I congratulate you all for participating in this unique process. You have already registered and you are here watching these videos, and you must have seen some of the example problems. So all the best. And I'm coming at the end of my entire talk. So I would like to give you recap of what we have seen. And first thing that we saw is that mathematics starts with an idea which we develop by a set of logical arguments, right? So we have established that it is not just solving equation, it is an idea, it is a very real subject. These are the two things that we can do: practice doing derivations and let your brain struggle with a problem. Try to figure out why your way of thinking didn't work out. Okay. Then we saw almost a magical way to calculate exact number of atoms by using Avogadro's number, right? We saw some logical arguments to understand uncertainties. A measurement is incomplete without the knowledge of uncertainty. Remember this fact in your prelims, it will be very helpful. Do watch H.C. Verma sir's video, Error Analysis by H.C. Verma on YouTube, because if you type error analysis on YouTube, you will probably be recommended one of the popular videos, which might not be very relevant, because YouTube once again works on a business model, and we as a student need to realize this and take charge, because on the same YouTube you have one of the most beautiful contents on the internet. You can just you can find the lectures by IITian professors, you can find lectures by MIT professors, for example, but you will have to type that. So I want to tell you that let us become aware of this fact. Lastly, we saw that to retain things better, we need to imagine and think about what we study. NAEST by its very nature will do it for you. Okay. So enjoy learning. And before I
Excuse me, sir.
really, yes,
Sir, I have told that, sir, we are preparing for the JEE exams and NEET exams. But if you are doing these practices as like experiment or many
right,
other things,
right,
if we are spending the most of the
right,
time,
good.
but if you we are
Yes,
sitting
yeah,
in
yeah.
the exam.
Yes, I got it. I got it. Please ask your question in Q&A sessions once again. I'll address the answer. Okay.
My question is this.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. I'll answer it in Q&A. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Your name is Rohit. I'll ask you once again. Okay.
Cool.
So enjoy learning. Now, before I really end my webinar, I want to end the webinar by the thought of probably one of the greatest human brain that has lived on the planet. It is by Leonardo da Vinci, and this is what da Vinci has to say, that the noblest pleasure is joy of understanding. और आपको पता है, beauty lies in the eyes of beholder, and let us educate ourselves enough so that we can see the beauty which is in this majestic universe. Let us educate ourselves to not deprive ourselves of this pleasure. And education, in true sense, education does that. It takes us above pity thinking, and it develops beauty in our character. As Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam sir has said, when there is beauty in the character, there is harmony in the home. When there is harmony in the home, there is order in the nation. And when there is order in the nation, there is peace in the world. We all want to live in a peaceful world. So by this, I come to end of my talk. Thank you for listening so patiently. You have been wonderful listeners. And
Thank you, sir.
thank you. Thank you for listening.
Sir, where I have to go ask the question, sir?
Yes.
Thank you, sir,
So,
for this session.
yes, so I hope that you have got something of value from this talk so far. कुछ चीजें आपको retain रहेगी आपके दिमाग में, and I hope that you can apply them for yourself and improve. Okay, so now, ma'am, can we take Q&A?
Yeah, sure. Yes, children, जिसको अभी questions पूछ रहे हैं आप पूछ लीजिए. तो कौन पूछना चाहेंगे सबसे
Sir,
पहले?
hello,
मैम
ma'am.
मेरा एक क्वेश्चन था
हाँ.
सर. हेलो सर.
हाँ, yes, hi.
सर, जो मेरा क्वेश्चन था सर, मैं फिजिक्स को बहुत ही ज्यादा पसंद करता हूँ.
Okay.
लेकिन मैं जब फिजिक्स का जो मैथमेटिक्स का पोर्शन है वो जब मैं ना मैंने मतलब वो जब मैं ट्राई करता हूँ जैसे जेई एडवांस के जो प्रॉब्लम्स होते हैं तो उसको सॉल्व करने में थोड़ा ज्यादा टाइम लग जाता है मेरा।
हाँ
लेकिन हम लेकिन हमको जेई एडवांस का प्रॉब्लम तो 2 मिनट के अंदर ही खत्म करना पड़ता है। तो
ओके
इसको सर कैसे इम्प्रूव करूँ?
okay, so here it is that if you can solve the problem, first of all, is your accuracy good enough? Can you actually, when you read the problem, are you able to solve it?
ये सर
मैंने
मैं
हाँ बिना देखे, if you can do that, the speed is all about practice. You know, the more you practice, the better you will be at thinking. So that there is no replacement of hard work here. You will have to practice. But the important thing is to be able to solve the problem. Not many people can do that. So all you have to do is you have to practice and you will be good. Now I also have to answer the Rohit's question. He was asking something. Can you
Can
please,
can
Rohit,
I
now?
add something?
Yes.
Can I
हाँ
add
yes,
something
Yeah,
please.
yeah.
here? किसने पूछा था क्वेश्चन? क्या नाम है अभी
सर
जो पिछला क्वेश्चन?
मैम अर्पण पाल।
अर्पण. हाँ, अर्पण, ये this is a really a myth that JEE advanced questions need to be done in 2 minutes time.
Yeah.
This is a total myth because the the students who qualify in JEE वो 20-25% अगर correct answers होते हैं then also they will qualify most of the time. So focus on doing the questions rather than doing it fast. So if you're able to do it, so जैसे अमरदीप जी बोल रहे हैं कि आप कर पाए, that is more important rather than running after the speed.
ओके
Okay.
मैम।
Sir,
ओके मैम।
So
थैंक यू
I
मैम।
also have a doubt.
Yes.
Like in the NCRT book, when we do the practice questions, the back exercise, it seems pretty easy.
Okay.
We are easily able to do it.
Okay.
But when I hop onto the book Concepts of Physics by H.C. Verma for the class 11, it bewilders me. Sometimes the questions
हाँ
seem absurd, and sometimes there is a huge gap between the
right.
concepts.
Right. So I'm
Yes,
glad
that's
that you
true.
brought this question, right? Concepts of Physics is one of my favorite books. I mean, my fear has gone from concepts of physics. I think uh, about concepts of physics, what people have started this culture is that they don't read the theory of concepts of physics. Concepts of physics की power सिर्फ उसके numericals नहीं है, उसकी theory भी है. So I will recommend you to go through the theory part and solve the examples जो sir ने करे हैं and also go through the worked out problems. I am very sure, or absolutely there are questions which I have taken days to solve some problems. It was from Newton's laws of motion. There was so, but I was actually not very discouraged, you know, as Einstein said, that I am not smart. I just stay with problems much longer. And actually, this is what Verma sir wants you to do. He wants you to stay with a problem, struggle, try different wrong approaches. Then you will be, आपके mental solving जो muscles हैं ना वो develop होंगे. As I said, your wrong way of doing is your wrong answer actually is there to tell you that there is some concept that you are thinking wrong about. So it is an opportunity for you so to go and so I think that if you cannot solve it, then the problem is in concepts. So read the theory once again, do the easier examples from concept physics. The concepts of physics has a gradual flow. So since you have asked the problem from concepts of physics, I am answering in terms of it's not really necessary to read that particular book. There are many books, but yes, I have only read concepts of physics for my 11th, 12th, so I can reassure you that.
sir,
Yes.
sir, I have a question.
Question.
That
Hello.
आजकल सर होता क्या है कि in today's education we have a very much theoretical learning
Yes.
and our practical observation is very much diminished. तो हमें प्रैक्टिकली किसी क्वेश्चन पर या कैसे कह सकते हैं किसी भी अगर क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग करनी होती है तो
हाँ
वी आर वेरी मच फेल इन इट
हाँ
एंड आवर एजुकेशन सिस्टम आल्सो फोर्स ऑन इट कि we should go by the calculations and all together
राइट
we have to
राइट
so
तो
in
उसके लिए
practical
हाँ हाँ
we have a
उसके
very
लिए तो
much
मेरे को सिर्फ कॉन्ग्रेचुलेशन ही बोलना है आपको यू हैव पार्टिसिपेटेड इन नेस्ट और यस हमारे एजुकेशन सिस्टम में कुछ कमियां हैं पर अंधकार को क्यों धिक्कारें, अच्छा है एक दीप जलाएं। वी आर ट्राइंग टू कम अप विद सॉल्यूशंस, और आपने ढूंढा है, देखो आपने नेस्ट को ढूंढ निकाला। एंड सो
मेरा
यू विल सून
पर्पस
इन अ,
भी सर
हाँ जी।
पर्पस भी सर मेरा यही है कि आई कुड
हम्म।
enroll in it and I will go through it
यस
because
यस यस,
सर कैन आई
डेफिनेटली।
आंसर?
of learning the physics
यस।
and I also have a
सर
SC Verma physics
कैन
concept of physics वगैरह वगैरह
यस
and
आई आंसर क्वेश्चन?
thank you sir.
यस, ओके, थैंक यू।
Sir,
हाँ, यस।
sir, for class 9 students, are there any good reference books for physics?
Uh, I don't know. I'm sorry, I cannot. If ma'am can add something, because I have very little knowledge uh, about any book.
There
I
is
seriously, I have never studied in class ninth, and I don't know. Maybe.
वैसे देर
Mm,
इज द बुक बाय वर्मा सर ऑल्सो, फाउंडेशन फिजिक्स जो है क्लास 9th की भी है बाय डॉक्टर वर्मा, जो ज्यादा लोग नहीं जानते हैं। इट इज ऑल्सो भारती भवन पब्लिकेशन, so
Yes
if
ma'am
you
I have
want
saw
you
it.
can, yeah, you can go through that. It is at least better than your NCERT books, and it clarifies a lot of concepts.
Yes, thank you.
1 minute, ma'am. May I am ask this on
yes,
the
yes,
topic or
please.
something?
Yes. You were asking, Rohit. Yeah.
सर मैं ये बोला सर, मतलब
Hmm.
9th क्लास के लिए जो आपने बताया सर, जो फाउंडेशन है सर एसी वर्मा सर का सर, वो
Mm-hmm.
पढ़ने के लिए सर मैंने आई हैव रिटन, आई एम वंस सॉ द बुक्स इन द
Mm-hmm.
9th क्लास, नाउ आई एम स्टिल इन 11th क्लास एंड जस्ट गो टू 12th। सर मैंने उसमें ये देखा सर, उसमें कॉन्सेप्ट है, मतलब अच्छे समझ में आते हैं सर, क्वेश्चंस भी हैं जो भी जो अच्छे सर, पर स्कूल में फोर्स किया जाता है कि तुम एनसीईआरटी का रट डालो सर, और एनसीईआरटी ओनली, एनसीईआरटी इज द मोस्ट इम्पोर्टेंट फॉर द टेस्ट एंड पेपर्स, and some books other recommended for the only you do this you will get the marks.
Okay, I do little bit. I agree with you. I do get that some teachers may have that tendency, but at the end of the day, if you are writing the right answer, then you will get marks. And if you are writing something more, I don't think that any teacher has an obligation to cut your marks just because you know a little more information. And
Actually,
as I tell, it is no one to one कर, ऐसा नहीं है कि आपकी अंडरस्टैंडिंग ज्यादा है तो आपके मार्क्स कम है। आपकी
Yes.
अंडरस्टैंडिंग ज्यादा है, आपके मार्क्स ज्यादा होंगे। You don't really worry about that a lot. Just focus on studying, or marks will take care of themselves.
1 minute sir, one
sir,
I have asked us questions, I have last asked the last times.
Okay.
सर आई हैव आस्क्ड दैट कि मतलब मैंने उस टाइम ये क्वेश्चन पूछा था सर, मान लीजिए मैंने नीट का प्रिपरेशन कर रहा हूँ सर, उसमें
हम्म।
सर रिकमेंडेड कि तुम अगर ऐसी वर्मा सॉल्व करते हो, यू शुड हैव टू सॉल्व
हाँ।
ए पार्टिकुलर क्वेश्चन सर।
Okay.
If you waste or invest your times on the all
हम्म।
questions or classes, you will be backlogged by the
हाँ।
all chapters. पर
Yeah.
सर बोलते हैं, सर स्कूल में बोलेंगे कि यू शुड पीवाईक्यू सॉल्व करो, एसी वर्मा सर के कुछ
Yes.
पर्टिकुलर क्वेश्चन लगाओ, या फिर मे बी नहीं भी लगाते हो तो इट्स विल बी हेल्प लॉट्स। पर अगर आई हैव इंटरेस्टेड दैट सॉल्विंग क्वेश्चन, द सर some questions are like that you cannot solve why 1 days 2 days is still teachers have not solved that. तो सर
हाँ।
this appreciation gives
हाँ।
some powers self to
Yes.
solve
So
that.
I'll tell you what it is. Our way of this education, I don't know why it has gone towards not thinking. Now, concepts of physics actually requires you to think, and it requires you to do it at your own pace. हम ना बहुत जल्दबाजी में है, we want to find shortcuts of everything, and the problem is those shortcuts are not working, you know. Whatever the method is, you're telling, ultimately, can you solve the problem which will be asked in the examination? That is all that matters. And to do that, you really, your skills should be good. You will not, the problem which you will encounter in your final exam is not the problem which you have already seen. It will be a new problem, so you should have that skill set to solve the problem. And concepts of physics, it does that. There are challenging problems, but as I say, the challenging problems are for your muscles to really think. Once you develop those muscles, होगा वो, you know, keep patience. And बहुत हमारी इस तेज दुनिया में थोड़ा सा शांत होने की आई थिंक जरूरत है। और आपको पता है क्या, एक बार आपको जब मजा आने लगेगा ना, तो योर so called studying hours will increase by default. जो जो चीज करने में हमको मजा आ रहा है उसको हम करेंगे. So आई मीन ठीक है, आपका पढ़ाई का टाइम बढ़ जाएगा, आप उसको एक एक ना टॉर्चर प्रोसेस से निकल के यू विल बी एबल टू सी हाँ दिस इज समथिंग दैट आई लाइक टू डू एंड आई वुड वांट टू डू इट इन माय फ्री टाइम. So I think that is the way to get over it, that I have solved concepts of physics and I have actually very much enjoyed
Sir,
doing
I
that.
have tried solve in
Yeah.
the starting times of the sir when I have started the syllabus has reduces and when I tend to convert it to 11th. That time I have solving the questions and theories are most important sir. मैंने जो theory पढ़ा सर तो उसमें इतना मतलब मजा आता सर, फील आता था सर,
हाँ
ऐसा
हाँ
लगता था. पर टाइम के साथ साथ सिलेबस बढ़ गया, बाकी से टेंशन्स बढ़ गए, फिर वो सब धीरे धीरे छूट गया, फिर सर फिजिक्स में मन ही नहीं करता सर. क्या व्हाट्स वी हैव टू डू.
बस ये जो मन नहीं करता है ना इसी को
हाँ
बदलना है, और आपने नेस्ट में एडमिशन ले लिया है ना तो अब ये मन करने लगेगा. एक बार मन करने लगेगा तो फिर हर एक चीज इंप्रूव हो जाएगी. इट्स ऑल अबाउट जॉय ऑफ लर्निंग. सो यू कीप पेशेंस और फोकस ऑन joy of it. Everything will come into picture. Keep patience, don't worry about it. सब कुछ हो जाएगा. आपकी धीरे धीरे आपकी खुद ही स्पीड बढ़ जाएगी. आपकी जो मेंटल, एक बार आप सोचना शुरू कर दोगे, then slowly slowly you will find that okay, the same topics you are able to go through them much faster. But right now I will recommend that trust your own pace. अपने खुद की रिदम को समझो और अपनी रिदम से पढ़ो. If you try to go faster than your rhythm, then you will end up causing yourself damage. You will end up hating the process. So this is what I can tell.
Sir,
Excuse me, sir.
sir, I have
About
a
the
sir.
point
Yes.
on HC Verma, you said that you must treat the solved examples. To explain my point clearly, I just
Okay.
want to say that I have read the examples of chapter 1 units and measurements, the
Okay.
worked out examples.
Okay.
I have understood them, but then
Okay.
suddenly in the objective one questions, a
Okay.
question comes
हाँ.
which includes sign and all that stuff,
Right.
which was not talked
Right.
about earlier.
Right. Okay, it's fair enough. I absolutely agree. So I would tell you to not be bothered by the fact that you have unable to find the answer. For now, move ahead and keep that problem somewhere in the back of your head. I am very sure that with time you will be able to get to the answer. Don't really get much bothered by it. Move ahead. There are more problems to solve in exercises. Do that, and I'm very sure that with time you will be able to figure out whatever it is that is troubling you. Otherwise, आप stuck कर जाओगे एक जगह पे. You should keep moving. But of course, have the problem in back of your head. Whenever you get an opportunity to ask someone, you ask, right? You have asked me, and so with time, I think the problem will be solved.
Yes,
Sir,
sir.
sir, can we
excuse me,
get your
sir.
number?
No, I am connected. You can connect with me on Gmail. I have written my email address is
Sir,
amardeepjhala22@gmail.com. Anything you
sir,
want to
excuse,
ask, you can ask
sir,
me,
sir,
or so अपने
are you at
स्मिता
LinkedIn?
मैम है. I am on LinkedIn. You can find me with Amardeep Jhala
Sir,
probably.
excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, when I have solved the Epsilon and Krotov, on the other hand, I have solved Irodov. I have seen
Okay.
that in Irodov, the
हाँ.
problems are more focused on mathematics. So it's the same
Okay.
formula of tangential acceleration, of
हाँ.
that perpendicular, that normal acceleration. All the
Right.
problems can be solved by the same formula, but it
Right.
does not require much thinking about physics.
Okay.
On
Right.
the other hand,
Hmm.
in Krotov and in Etsivaram, I've seen the problems are not so much mathematical. They can be solved with basic algebra and some basic knowledge of calculus, but they
Yes.
require much physical means thinking of physics. So I shall concentrate on more like physics thinking problems. Like
Yes.
there was
Yes.
a okay.
Yes,
Yes,
and
yes. For physics, you can concentrate on physics
Okay,
thinking
sir. Thank you,
problem.
sir.
For solving bigger mathematical problems, we already have mathematics as a subject.
sir, adding on up to what he asked, for example, a point of view, shall we focus more on physics or on maths?
Okay, so like I don't know what your objective is, which exam you're talking about. But mathematics is the language of physics, and mathematics, I mean, in physics, the kind of mathematics we use is generally intuitive, and it is more about translating a physical situation into mathematics. So you for when I really it really depends upon your final objective. For me, I like mathematics very much. I do pure mathematics as well. So and I love physics. So for me, it has been the opposite. I
So,
started with physics and I ended up doing mathematics more.
one more
Okay,
thing, sir.
thank you.
Sir, means I sometimes encounter problems like involving infinite pulleys or
Infinite pools,
problems
yes.
regarding infinite circuits. So
Okay.
such things are not real in the physics, in the
Yes.
physical world. So
Yes.
is there a necessity to study those problems because those involves more mathematical study involving say
Yes.
geometric series and all. So are those
Yes.
physics problems really related to physics or they are
Yes,
more
absolutely,
mathematical?
absolutely they are. Because right now the kind of physics that you are doing is very intuitive, but soon enough as you move ahead, you encounter special theory of relativity, general theory of relativity, quantum mechanics, you will soon find that imagination is not, you cannot really depend intuitively to solve the problem. You will have to make your leaps into mathematical thinking. And therefore, I think those problems are very important that, and it is very important that you learn the structure of mathematics so that you can, mathematics is the queen of science, right? It allows you, it tells you that, okay, these are the permitted areas where, these are the permitted ways of thinking. So yes, all those problems are there for a very good reason, and it is to improve your mathematical
Yes, sir.
skills.
Sir, I have a doubt, sir. Like if
Yes.
there's a person who is in a high school, like in 9th to 10th class, and if he's trying to contribute in the physics society, like for example, if he tries to discover some new theory and that stuff, which is like it, but at that stage, that person will be studying in the school, so there won't be any universities or institutions to support him. So how can he, go further? How can he reach further for
I would
discoveries?
recommend you to read books about whatever topic that you think that you have discovered some
Actually,
theory.
it
You
is actually the kind of related to general theory related with that stuff. And like yes,
yes,
I've tried to like I have read some books also and seen some lectures and videos also about it. But
yes.
I need like help from from the publication and verification of that theory stuff.
Okay, so it's very good that you are reading this stuff. Once again, I'll tell you to read more books. For example, the Theoretical Minimum by Leonard Susskind is a way to start, very good way. And then, because in general relativity, it involves the algebra of tensors and
Yes,
a
sir.
lot. I actually I don't know general relativity. I have never studied general relativity, but I know that it involves a lot of mathematics, lot of
Yes.
tensor, and so first of all, you read some books. If you are good enough, you just have to be patient. I am very sure that you can meet someone in from our NEST team also. If you are fortunate enough, Verma sir ka webinar hoga, I think. So maybe you can interact with them. But
Verma sir
for
का webinar कौन था?
first of all, I'll tell you to read books.
हाँ, okay, sir.
Like there are general relativity has been found in I think 1921, and it has been more than 100 years. So a lot of work has already been done. So
Yes.
you look into so different kind of books, so you will be able to get, you
Yes,
might
like
find
it
that
is like
whatever you are thinking has already been done. It is very probable that it is that way.
no, no, like
So
I have
that
tried to discover a new constant which can kind of replace G. It is like just satisfying most of the equations of both Einstein and Newton,
yes,
which
yes,
involves G.
absolutely.
So
That's what I'm saying. I agree with you. But if you want to make such a claim, then your reading should be thorough. So
yes,
till you get the opportunity, you increase your what do we call literature knowledge. Read more and more books, so you can be firm that okay, whatever you have discovered is correct. So it is 7-7, ma'am. Can we continue with the questions?
It is up to you and the students.
Oh,
Ma'am, can
You
I
can
ask a
take
Sir,
maybe
please
question?
two,
continue the
three
question,
games.
sir. Please continue the question, sir.
Okay,
okay, yes.
okay, okay, okay. Naisha,
Yes.
Naisha,
Yeah.
पूछो
Please
बेटा.
ask your question.
Like we have been told for those who follow the scientific path, the phrase see for yourself and question everything. But for example, when we study things, like, and like, I, when we ask reasons like, why is this thing so? And when it goes into we what maybe the school teachers called higher concepts, and then
Hmm.
they don't tell us, then
हाँ.
but then the doubt remains in our mind, and whenever
Hmm.
we revisit that concept, it like pops up again and again, which is kind of hindering our studies. So what should be done about that?
Right, right. Very fair point. And absolutely, once you start thinking, you eventually you end up asking the right questions, and the right answers is in your senior classes. Yes, I agree. Uh, I would say that, you know, try to, mane, the very first thing that comes to my mind is try to get comfortable with your question. And if you cannot find the answer, don't really torture your brain so much that I cannot find the answer. Celebrate your question. If you have the question, that is a very beautiful thing to have question. Do you know that very few students have this ability to ask right questions? So once you have stepped on the right question, I have some questions that I haven't been able to answer for 2 years now, and and I'll tell you, I'll tell you the question that I have, and you will jump up to explaining the answer to me, but please don't do that. वो कॉइन हम रोल करते हैं ना, तो जब तक कॉइन रोल करता रहता है वो गिरता नहीं है, और जब वो रुक जाता है वो गिर जाता है. I know this is very simple question. You will try to answer it with angular momentum, this and that. I have tried doing that, but then I have much deeper questions in that also. But what I'm saying is I have a question. I have been working with this question for a very long time, and I'm comfortable. So get comfortable with your questions. ऐसा कुछ नहीं है कि अगर आपको जवाब नहीं मिलेगा तो, मेरे को कोई भी ज्यादातर सवालों के जवाब आते नहीं है, बट देन आई एम वेरी कंफर्टेबल. मैंने तो एक टॉपिक ही इसलिए ये बताने के लिए चूज किया कि जरूरी नहीं है आपको सारे आंसर आए. what is important is you are curious, so be comfortable with your curiousness, and with time, with you will encounter the people. For example, अगर आपका नेक्स्ट में होता है, आप कानपुर आते हैं या कैसे किसी से एनकाउंटर करते हैं, सो यू कैन डिस्कस दोस कॉन्सेप्ट. और जब ऐसी चीजें हम डिस्कस करते हैं ना, तो बड़ी मैजिकल फीलिंग होती है वो. सो बी कंफर्टेबल, यू आर ऑन अ वेरी राइट पाथ, आई कैन अश्योर यू दैट. Be comfortable with your questions.
Sir, you have told that instead of question, you should have to focus on the literature. सर, आई थिंक मैं ये कहना चाहूँगा सर कि मान लीजिए सर हम लिटरेचर पढ़ते हैं सर, लिटरेचर पढ़ो, उसमें से कॉन्सेप्ट निकालें सर हम लिटरेचर से सर. इंस्टेड ऑफ कुछ हम लोग क्वेश्चन को सॉल्व करें सर, तो उससे कोई न्यू थिंग्स निकले, तो क्या हम लोग क्वेश्चन सॉल्व करना चाहिए या फिर थ्योरी को सर
Okay, so were you
रिवाइज?
asking about this general relativity thing?
आई
I think he is asking a general question कि
हाँ.
उसको questions पहले करने चाहिए या theory
हाँ.
पहले पढ़नी चाहिए. Am I
नहीं नहीं,
right, Rohit?
या मैम, या मैम, या मैम.
वो एक्चुअली वही
तो
लिटरेचर
theory
वाली
तो
बात
पढ़नी
मैंने
ही
कही थी.
चाहिए. थ्योरी तो सबसे पहले चैप्टर नहीं पढ़ोगे तो सवाल कैसे करोगे? तो सबसे पहले
मैम,
तो
मैम ये कहना चाहता
और
हूँ.
मेरी जो लिटरेचर वाली बात है वो स्पेसिफिकली वो जनरल रिलेटिविटी वाले क्वेश्चंस के लिए थी. ही वाज ट्राइंग टू कम अप विद अ थ्योरी, तो मैं उनको बोल रहा हूँ कि यू रीड
जनरल
मोर.
रिलेटिविटी तो अभी छोड़ ही दीजिए आप.
हाँ.
स्कूल के बच्चे हैं. हमें स्पेशल समझ में आ जाए तो भी बहुत बड़ी बात है. और जनरल तो बहुत बड़ी बात है, ऑल्दो फैसिनेशन बड़ा रहता है उसका. लेकिन अभी फिलहाल न्यूटन के लॉज तक ही अगर हम समझ जाएं तो वो बहुत बड़ी बात हो जाएगी.
इनफैक्ट आई वुड लाइक टू ऐड, मतलब मैं अभी स्पेशल रिलेटिविटी का कोर्स किया, क्वांटम मैकेनिक्स पढ़ा, बट अगर मेरी कोई फिजिक्स की सबसे फेवरेट इक्वेशन है ना, तो वो एफ इक्वल टू एम ही है. जस्ट थिंक अबाउट दिस इक्वेशन, एफ इज इक्वल टू एम. और हमारे आसपास जितने भी मोशन हो रहे हैं ना, पंखा चल रहा है, मैं बोल रहा हूँ, क्रिकेट खेल रहे हैं, सन के अराउंड अर्थ घूम रही है, F equal to ma is very simple. इतनी सी इक्वेशन, it can explain everything. The tremendous power of F equal to ma. So आप F equal to ma में भी बहुत कुछ सीख सकते हैं. There is a Nobel Prize winning scientist सुब्रमण्यम चंद्रशेखर, जिन्होंने अपने करियर के लास्ट कुछ 10 years और समथिंग, उन्होंने रीसॉल्विंग न्यूटन्स प्रिंसिपिया, इस टाइप की उनकी एक बुक है. So you see that a scientist of such a great caliber has spent his last time solving the Principia once again. So Newton's laws of motion have so much power and so much beauty. So आप उसमें भी बहुत कुछ enjoy कर सकते हैं.
हाँ, तो
Okay.
और किसी को कुछ पूछना है या फिर, या ना,
सर
हाथ तो बहुत
Yeah,
सारे उठे हुए
I'd
हैं.
like to ask a question, ma'am.
सुदिशना
हाँ जी,
सुदिशना
सुदिशना जी।
Ma'am.
हाँ
Okay.
हाँ बोलो सुदिशना
I have a doubt. Sir, I am now reading in grade 9 and
Okay.
I think something different. So, I love space time and space related concepts. So, if I learn something different, so if I ask doubt, so my teachers tell that the concepts are very deep and you couldn't understand it right now. So, for example, if light has momentum, why it doesn't have mass? So, like these
Right.
questions, how to get answers?
Yeah, so see, it's a very beautiful, very critical question you have asked. Light has momentum, how can it not have mass? And this question is
Yes, sir.
so good, it is so good that it comes out as a consequence of special relativity, and but I'm not going to answer the question as such that it doesn't have a mass, it doesn't have rest mass really. But what I want to tell you is congratulations that you are asking this question. This is, I don't think many people get this, right? That it has momentum and it doesn't have mass. How we describe photon.
Actually, it supports our school that it tells more. If we study in class 8, actually, I have learned it. Our
Huh,
teacher told about light, and
huh,
he told that it has no mass, but it has
hmm,
momentum. So
okay.
I asked the question: if it doesn't have mass, how could it have the momentum? As momentum needs mass.
This is such a beautiful question. Your analysis is spot on. It's a perfect question to be asked, and you have asked the absolutely correct question. Uh, but then, yes, at this point, yes, I can also say that you will encounter this. I have told you that you can encounter this in special relativity. That how it, but how can I answer this question that it doesn't have mass, it has momentum? Uh,
we
Sir,
need not
isn't it
think in
because of
terms of a particle. Everything, when we look at the things around us, we always think of particles around us, which have mass. But other than that, हमारे पास और भी तो चीजें हैं, fields हैं, magnetic field है, electric field है,
Yes, ma'am.
ये जो है, तो they are totally a different entity.
Actually, आपका नाम क्या है? Sorry,
Sudishna Sthita Pragya.
Sudeshna. Sudeshna, this is actually very good question. मतलब you know, and जितना ये आपको ट्रबल कर रहा है ना, इससे ज्यादा
Yes,
ट्रबल
sir.
ये 1905 में दूसरे साइंटिस्ट को किया था, जब आइंस्टाइन फर्स्ट केम अप विद दिस थ्योरी ऑफ स्पेशल थ्योरी ऑफ
Special
रिलेटिविटी.
theory of relativity.
हाँ, बहुत ट्रबल किया था ये लोगों को कि ये कैसे हो सकता है, ये कैसे हो सकता है, हाउ इज दिस पॉसिबल, इट लाइट इज सपोज टू बी अ वेव and now suddenly light is particle and we explain
Sir,
photoelectric effect with that.
and
So
this
you,
in also our teachers told that in plus 3 that MSc time the quantum mechanics it is so fascinating and imaginative word, and there is full of imagination how to do this in quantum mechanics also.
yes, so you will encounter with quantum mechanics, you will encounter, if you are so curious, then first of all, let me assure you and let me make sure that you are really assured that the question you are asking is right question. It is not the wrong question. It is very right question. It is so right that we had debate, like one of the greatest debate of all time, is on what is light. Like, is it a particle or is it wave? Some people
Yes,
say
sir.
that it is an electromagnetic
It
wave.
is
Some people used to
uh,
describe a medium which is ether, which really doesn't.
yes,
There
sir.
is no ether. But then, so this is a very fundamental question, and you wait, keep patience, and your problem will be answered. It may so happen, let me warn you, it may so happen that in class 12th also you still have to have your this doubt and it might not be answered. Light actually is a wave particle duality of some kind, and why it is a duality has that is our first step in quantum mechanics. And let me tell you that if it is bothering you, you can take comfort in the fact that it bothered Einstein until he died. Einstein, who started this debate of quantum mechanics, could not agree with quantum mechanics. He said, I don't believe in this probability theory. Einstein wanted to come up with a theory of fields. So the guy who started the whole business of wave particle duality ended up rejecting it. So this is an idea which brings a lot of discomfort in our heart, and let the discomfort be in your heart. as Richard Feynman has said, for someone who claims that he has understood quantum mechanics has not understood it. So it is a fascinating subject for a reason. And hold on to your questions. I'm sure that with time it will be answered,
Bohr
and
once
we can
that
have these discussions.
so Niels
Sir,
Bohr once
can
said
I
that
ask?
if a person says that he or she understands quantum
Thank you, sir,
mechanics,
for
either
answering
he
Hmm.
is
this
a
question.
fool or he is
Hmm.
lying.
Yes. So yeah, because it is so fascinating. It is so fascinating.
Sir, one question, sir. 1 minute, sir.
Utkarsh, I think he wants to ask Rohit. Can you
Yes,
please
ma'am.
allow him?
Okay, ma'am.
Utkarsh,
Sir,
yes.
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I am audible.
Yes.
Sir, there is. I have one question.
Yes,
There is
please
a
go ahead.
double slit experiment happened, which bothers me a lot personally.
Okay.
Uh, as we know that suppose there is a gun and we fire and it shoots and the bullet goes from slit, and there is a observer which is
Hmm.
seeing whole the process. So when the observer will see, it will act like a particle nature, and when the observer will not see that particle, it will act like a wave nature. So how come it
Right.
is possible? It's really bothers me a lot.
It really bothers me a lot also. It also bothered Einstein. How is it possible? And uh, but the fact is that it happens that way. You see, nature could have chosen itself to be very simple, deterministic. We what do? We physicists study what nature is, right? Now, let me tell you one thing, that we are using this mobile phone, right? And the very basic element of this mobile phone is semiconductors. Semiconductors works on the principles of quantum mechanics, right? It is because quantum mechanics works, we have all these devices, and we also are coming up with quantum computers and whatnot. And absolutely, this thought is unsettling. And so, be unsettled. Don't worry about it. How does a photon know that should I go through this slit or should I go through this slit? And ultimately, if you wait long enough, it will end up making the pattern as if it were a wave. So this strangeness is very much within quantum mechanics, and therefore इसको कहते हैं कि तो ऐसा लगता है कि कुछ परियों की कहानी है, because it becomes so beautiful. It keeps getting the results that we get. आप मोमेंटम और पोजीशन एक साथ नहीं नाप सकते, क्यों नहीं नाप सकते? मैं तो बता सकता हूँ कि मेरी वेलोसिटी 0 है और मैं मेरी चेयर पे बैठा हूँ, मेरी पोजीशन भी पता है, मेरा मोमेंटम भी पता है। लेकिन अगर मैं क्वांटम पार्टिकल होता, इलेक्ट्रॉन होता, तो या तो आप मेरी पोजीशन बता पाते, या तो मेरी वेलोसिटी बता पाते, वो भी अनरियलिस्टिक है, उसमें भी वेव फंक्शन कोलैप्स होता है, बहुत सारी चीजें हैं। बट वेरी गुड क्वेश्चन, वंस अगेन स्पॉट ऑन, आपका एनालिसिस अच्छा है। होल्ड ऑन टू योर
Sir,
क्वेश्चंस, आई विल से, एंड इट विल
sir,
बी आंसर्ड, इट विल बी आंसर्ड। ऐसा नहीं है कि these questions are not answered. You keep patience. When you will encounter the right syllabus, you will get the answers.
thank you, sir. I
Sir,
have some other questions. Sir, can I ask?
Yes,
I
ma'am.
think
Sir,
it is time. अच्छा
yeah,
चलो
ma'am.
पूछ लो लेकिन it's time almost. We'll take
Yes,
one more question after Utkarsh. उत्कर्ष आप जल्दी से पूछिए और
yeah,
किसको
yes, ma'am.
पूछना
Yes, ma'am.
उसके बाद
Ma'am, I
Sir, sir,
शिका
there is a one more topic. We know that electrons have a such a high speed, such a high speed. That's why they mainly act like a wave nature. And there was a scientist. I don't remember his name, but he said that by luck, if humans or if any solid bigger particles have that kind of speed, then we can also act like a wave. Is it true or is it false? And second thing is that right now I have studied some of quantum mechanics part, and I am researching on that. So is it bad to do that? Because I am also learning quantum computing side by side.
Okay, that is great, but this is not true. Velocity has very little to do with it. It has to do with the size of the particle as far as quantum mechanics is concerned. If you go really faster, and you go so fast as you approach the speed of light, special relativity comes into action. But once again, special relativity, it doesn't really have to do necessarily with quantum mechanics. quantum mechanics is all about size. So this idea that just because electron is moving fast, it acts like wave, it is not that. Electron is neither a particle nor a wave. It is a duality, and that is the point. That is the issue with the whole concept of quantum mechanics. That and this also, let me tell you that this is called Copenhagen interpretation, where we so there are many interpretations of quantum mechanics, but this most popular one which we are talking about, that it is कोपनहेगन कुछ साइंटिस्ट थे जर्मनी में, आई थिंक नील्स बोहर एंड बॉर्न, जिन्होंने इस पे काम किया था, तो उन लोगों का इंटरप्रिटेशन है ये. So once again, you wait when you encounter with the theory of quantum mechanics, you will feel better, and you can continue with your learnings of quantum computing. Quantum computing is more applied. It really has very little to do with physics.
I think,
Yeah, sir. Thank you, sir.
Utkarsh, I think you can arrive at the wavelength of any particle using that de Broglie equation. तो अगर आपका जो वेवलेंथ आ रहा है मेजरेबल रेंजेस में, देन इसलिए बोलते हैं कि जो इलेक्ट्रॉन है उसका इट्स बिहेविंग लाइक अ वेव. ऐसे तो अमरदीप सर बैठे हुए हैं, वो भी वेव भी हैं और पार्टिकल भी हैं असल में. लेकिन
Yeah,
वो
ma'am.
वेव नेचर हमें दिखाई नहीं देगा. वो वेवलेंथ जो आएगी वो बहुत ही बहुत ही बहुत ही छोटी आएगी. सो इसलिए इसलिए ऐसा नहीं होता है. अदरवाइज तो सारा जो मैटर है वो मैटर पार्टिकल भी है और वेव भी है.
Right, right,
किसी
absolutely.
किसी में हमें
Okay.
दिख जाता है, किसी में हमें नहीं दिखता है. तो दैट इज व्हाई स्पीड्स जो है दे मैटर. ऑल्सो द मास ऑफ द पार्टिकल मैटर्स.
Sir, is
Okay,
light a
ma'am. Thank
matter?
you so much, ma'am.
नो, लाइट इज नॉट मैटर. लाइट इज फील्ड. यही मैंने कहा था कि मैटर और फील्ड ये दो अलग अलग चीजें हैं आपकी. तो
But
वो
ma'am,
आप
light is having the particle nature also. Wave and
पार्टिकल
particle.
नेचर इज डिफरेंट फ्रॉम बीइंग अ पार्टिकल. पार्टिकल मतलब मास है. चलो ये सब तो खैर क्वेश्चंस तो आपके रहेंगे. स्टे विद द क्वेश्चंस. एंड अमरदीप सर हमारे साथ काफी देर से आपके क्वेश्चंस के आंसर्स कर रहे हैं.
मैम ओनली
अंशिका को
मैम वन
कुछ
क्वेश्चन. मैम वन क्वेश्चन. मैम वन क्वेश्चन. लास्ट.
7:30 बज गए.
मैम
अच्छा
लास्ट
चलो.
वन. मैम लास्ट वन. मैम माय क्वेश्चन ये है कि हम लोग बोलते हैं ब्लैक इज अ कलर एंड व्हाइट इज अ कलर, बट
गलत
व्हाई डू.
बोलते हैं.
हाँ मैम. मैम
गलत
गलत है.
बोलते हैं. ब्लैक
मैम
ब्लैक इज नॉट अ कलर. ब्लैक इज समथिंग जो हमें दिखाई नहीं देता.
या मैम तो
हाउ
मैम
कैन ब्लैक.
how मैम how you define मैम like just a phone मैम how you define that there is a not in black in color. If you think black is not just a color, it dips all the colors.
नहीं, ब्लैक का मतलब आपको दिख इसलिए रहा है वो ब्लैक, क्योंकि उसके आपके आसपास की जो चीज है वो थोड़ी ज्यादा ब्राइट दिख रही है. दैट इज व्हाई यू कैन सी दैट पैच एज ब्लैक. ब्लैक से तो
मैम
कोई लाइट ही नहीं आ रही है. मतलब अगर इफ इट इज एब्सोल्युटली ब्लैक.
Yeah, that's
then
what
why.
it has to be absolutely black. What,
हाँ.
do we have absolutely black around us? This is also a question.
वो तो है, बट ऑन एन एवरेज.
हेलो मैम.
Yes.
हाँ, अच्छा बोलो
मैम
अंशिका.
मैम मैम मैं बीएससी सेकंड सेम स्टूडेंट. मैम हाउ इम्पोर्टेंट मैक्सवेल इक्वेशन. मैम हम फर्स्ट सेम से अभी तक सेकंड सेम में हर बात पे मैम मैक्सवेल इक्वेशन बार बार आती है. मैम हाउ इम्पोर्टेंट.
Very important.
हाउ इम्पोर्टेंट आपको क्या लगता है कि हाउ इम्पोर्टेंट इज मैक्सवेल्स इक्वेशन? उसमें तो सब कुछ है.
यस मैम.
Electricity, magnetism, everything. It has been basically Maxwell's का equation बोल के तो कुछ खास है नहीं. He has only compiled some equations और उसको Maxwell's equations बोलते हैं हम. बस एक modification है जो last वाले में, in which he has made a contribution. But he could see a connection between everything. Otherwise तो गॉस थ्योरम है, आप अलग से पढ़ते हो. आप फैराडेज लॉ अलग से पढ़ते हो. एम्पीयर सर्किटल लॉ अलग से पढ़ते हो. मैक्सवेल इक्वेशन इज जस्ट लाइक इट्स जस्ट कंबाइनिंग एवरीथिंग ना.
यस मैम.
हाँ तो
Okay,
Ma'am,
so
I can ask a question.
अच्छा पूछो.
मैम, आई एम इन 11th क्लास एंड 9th और 10th में मैं समथिंग फिजिक्स को ऐसे रिवाइज करता था जैसे मैं खुद को पढ़ाता हूँ। बट 11th का जो सिलेबस है फिजिक्स का, चाहे मैथ्स का हो, किसी भी सब्जेक्ट का हो, केमिस्ट्री का हो, बट वो सिलेबस बहुत बड़ा है। तो उसको रिवाइज करने में जो मेथड से मैं रिवाइज करता हूँ अपने आप को पढ़ाकर, वो मेथड से रिवाइज करने में बहुत टाइम लग रहा है। सो मुझे एक ऐसा अदर मेथड चाहिए जिससे मैं बहुत अच्छे से रिवाइज कर सकूं उसको इफेक्टिवली।
अभी अमरदीप सर ने बताया ना कि शॉर्टकट्स नहीं होते। टाइम लग रहा है तो अच्छी बात है, आप टाइम लगाओ तो अच्छे रिजल्ट्स आएंगे। और ये तरीका जो तुमने खोजा है बहुत ही अच्छा तरीका है। ठीक है,
इससे
चलो।
कॉन्फिडेंस भी बूस्ट अप होता है और बहुत अच्छा लगता है जब खुद ही
हाँ
कॉन्सेप्ट खुद
हाँ,
ही
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल बिल्कुल, तुमको समझ में आ गया है ना ये तो बात। ओके
सी
गुड। ठीक है
एंड
तो ओके, थैंक
मैम
यू।
मैं
हाँ हाँ बिल्कुल अमरदीप
बच्चे
सर। हाँ जी हाँ
दे
जी।
दे वो बोल रहे हैं कनेक्ट करने का, तो मैं आपको, आप ईमेल पे मेरे को आपके क्वेश्चंस भेज सकते हैं। आई
आप
विल
ईमेल आईडी
डेफिनेटली
चैट
रिप्लाई।
पे लिख दीजिए।
मैं ईमेल आईडी एक बार लिख देता हूँ। और
हाँ
उसके अलावा अब वैसे तो ऐसे किसी जगह में ज़्यादा एक्टिव हूँ नहीं। लिंक्डइन पे कभी कभी आई यू कैन कनेक्ट विथ मी ऑन लिंक्डइन ऑल्सो। आई वैसे आई हैव यूट्यूब चैनल बट आई रियली लाइक डोंट पोस्ट एनीथिंग। कभी कभार जब आई फील कि एंड माई व्यूज आर 20, नॉट मोर देन, वो अपने लिए मैं डालता हूँ। सो आई वोंट रियली रिकमेंड यू टू सब्सक्राइब मी, क्योंकि वो कुछ है नहीं उसमें। तो द बेस्ट वे टू कनेक्ट विथ मी इज टू राइट मी एन ईमेल। सो और maybe for longer period of time LinkedIn is an option for us to connect. But anyways I am connected with Nest full time. कुछ भी आपको क्वेरी आप नेस्ट के थ्रू डाल दोगे ना, वो पहुंच जाएगी। अगर आपको मेरे से ही जरूरत होगा तो मैम विल रीच अप टू मी। तो आप डोंट वरी, नाउ यू आर पार्ट ऑफ नेस्ट। सो ऑल ऑफ अस आर one big unit, right?
सर व्हाट विल नेक्स्ट हैपन
क्या
सर?
क्या
मैम आगे अब हमें क्या करना पड़ेगा? व्हाट वी हैव टू नेक्स्ट यानी?
क्या करना पड़ेगा मतलब?
मैम मैंने पार्टिसिपेट कर लिया मैम। मैं फर्स्ट टाइम पार्टिसिपेट, मैंने फ़ोन चला रहा हूँ मैम फर्स्ट टाइम।
Okay.
तो व्हाट आगे मुझे क्या करना पड़ेगा, कैसे अलर्ट रहने का इस नेक्स्ट के लिए मैम?
आप बस वेबिनार अभी तो अटेंड कर सकते हो जो हम अभी फ्लोट कर रहे हैं, और जून में आपको एग्जाम देना है स्क्रीनिंग का। नेस्ट
सॉरी
की
टू
वेबसाइट।
इंटरप्ट मैम, बट एग्जाम में क्या सिलेबस होगा मतलब?
कोई सिलेबस जो तुम पढ़ रहे हो दैट इज सफिशिएंट। अच्छे से पढ़ो क्लास में, यू विल बी हैविंग एनफ क्वेश्चंस इन दैट, जो कि अच्छे से अगर पढ़ाई करोगे तो हो जाएंगे। कोई एडिशनल पढ़ाई करने की जरूरत नहीं है, और कर भी लोगे तो भी कोई काम आने वाली ही नहीं है वो। बस
मैम सो
क्वेश्चन
राइट
अच्छे से
नाउ
पढ़ो।
इन क्लास 11th, तो मुझे आगे की कंसेप्ट पढ़ने की जरूरत ही नहीं है। मुझे बस अपने 11th की बुक्स पे फोकस करना है फॉर द नेक्स्ट
हाँ
एग्जाम।
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल, 11th की बुक पर ही आप फोकस करिए, एंड योर ऑब्जर्वेशनल एंड एनालिटिकल स्किल्स विल हेल्प यू।
एंड मैम आई एम अ बीएससी स्टूडेंट, तो मैम हमें क्या पढ़ना है? 11 12 का सिलेबस बेसिक?
कुछ नहीं पढ़ना है, जो आपने पढ़ रखा है दैट इज एनफ। आप थोड़ा लॉजिकली चीजों को
मैम
एनालाइज
मैम
करिएगा।
आई एम फ्रॉम क्लास 9, तो फिर क्या 9 का सिलेबस कंप्लीट करने पर ही हो जाएगा?
हाँ बिल्कुल हो जाएगा। हमारे जो फाइनलिस्ट्स हुए हैं 9th क्लास के स्टूडेंट जो है, उसका नाम भी है चयनिका, शी हैज बीन अ नेशनल टॉपर। तो ऐसा नहीं कि 9th के बच्चे नहीं पहुंच सकते हैं वहां पर। सो यू विल हैव क्वेश्चंस 9th के भी। कुछ एक टॉपिक्स जो होंगे आपको हो सकता है नहीं पता हो, बट इट डजेंट मैटर। ऑलवेज द चिल्ड्रन डू वेरी वेल। बस बी क्यूरियस, बी ऑब्जर्वेंट, रीड द क्वेश्चंस नाइसली, और एंड ट्राई टू एनालाइज। लॉजिक लगाओ, एनालाइज करो, आंसर्स आ जाएंगे। ओके
ओके मैम। ओके मैम।
okay, so don't worry. And thank you, Amardeep ji. Thank you so much for being here
It's an honor,
and
ma'am.
guiding all the students. और वो आपसे बहुत सारे सवाल करना तो चाहते हैं, लेकिन अभी 7:30 बज गए हैं, तो हम इसे खत्म करते हैं यहाँ पर। आपने अपना ईमेल आईडी दे दिया है, तो बच्चों सर को बस लिखते रहो, बहुत सारे मेल्स लिखना, और वो आपको आंसर जरूर करेंगे। ठीक है।
Okay,
Okay.
thank you everyone. Thank
Good
you for
night,
your
sir.
time. You have
Thank
been
Have a nice day,
wonderful
sir.
listeners. Bye bye.
Good night, ma'am.
Good
Have a nice
night.
day, ma'am. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.